question 2. What is happiness and how can one achieve the maximum happiness in his life? Answer. Happiness is a relative. For a common man, it is always with respect to others, it is comparative, it is mutative, it is time-bound, age-bound and yuga or kal as well as generation-bound, and also, happiness is time, space and cause-bound, and is governed by many such parameters. It is an abstract identity. It is desires bound by the vasanas, inbuilt tendencies, and revolves around the actions. This all shows that happiness is always transient. It is never permanent. One cannot say that he will always be happy if he is happy at this moment. Happiness is earth-bound and hence it is always in motion. Happiness changes with time and age. A child can be happy with a toy, but to a young man a toy cannot give happiness. And what can make a young man happy, old man happiness, is always miles from that. Happiness is like the twinkling of a star. It is like a bubble that can burst in no time. But still all of us are made to look for happiness. Our whole efforts are directed towards a point that might give us happiness, and that happiness vanishes like a bubble and becomes a void. Where it has got dissolved or disappeared, mind does not know, but a mutative mind again puts it affords to search for transient happiness, and this game of hide and seek goes on as long as the breath is there. We execute all our actions through efforts, through breath, since actions depend on breath, and when we achieve the desired results, we become breathless temporarily to be with the happiness, to enjoy the results or outcome of happiness, but the breathless state is transient. We again start breathing to live, and happiness becomes a mist in due course. In other words, in this mundane world, one cannot be permanently happy, although whatsoever he achieves or gets, even if he conquers the world, his happiness is transient so far breath is there, and one cannot be breathless to live to be permanently happy. So, happiness is a mist, transitory and temporary. One can run behind the happiness, and it will go on shifting its center, and one can go on revolving around the happiness, but cannot get unless one gets dissolved in it, and one cannot permanently dissolve till the breath exists. So, happiness is a mysterious riddle that cannot be solved in this material world. One can go on accumulating every material thing of this world, but he cannot accumulate happiness that is transient and abstract. Happiness broadly can be divided into three broad categories, that is physical happiness, mental happiness and spiritual happiness. In other words, it is gross, subtle and causal. The gross happiness is the happiness on the horizontal plane. People look for different worldly goods and try to acquire them with full efforts to be happy. It may be houses, gold, diamonds, cars and so on. Even after getting or accumulating them, one feels vacuumed in his core of the heart and tries to get more of them, and he never gets satisfied with his desires for accumulation. This aspect may be extended to sex, power, and other worldly comforts. Temporary one gets contented, but again after a lapse of small interval as one feel hungry, his temptations increase and he looks to fulfill them to be happy again and again. But this well of happiness on the physical plane is never filled until and unless mind is satisfied with the accumulation of modern comforts and their frequent changes. If the mind accumulates wisdom with age or with existing knowledge that the greatest personalities of the world have left as posterity, can assist a person for his physical, mental and spiritual satisfaction. Mind controls the senses. If a mind is made stronger from a lower to higher level, only then some direction of hope can be given to enhance the happiness. But at one stage when mind turns into the greatest mind, he can command all the five senses that are eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin that look after him to fulfill his desires and get happiness out of it. In the nutshell, the greatest mind can only help or assist a person by giving him positive direction to be happy. When the intellect of a person accumulates this wisdom gradually, then happiness does not remain a mystery and the person feels happy whatsoever he has. It does not mean that he becomes idle. He works much more efficiently, but his actions are actionless and they are selfless to follow the commands of Almighty or God, and nothing for his selfish gains, since his essential desires become negligible or just limited. In a simple mathematical language, happiness can be defined as the number of desires fulfilled by the total number of desires. So, if the desires are less, the man is happy, or if his most of the desires are fulfilled without an increase of the desires anymore. But if desires are increasing and not getting fulfilled, his unhappiness and miseries will go on increasing. He becomes miserable. So, in short, the happy man is he whose desires diminish to be zero. It means the nominator in the mathematical equation of desires is zero. Only then his happiness is infinite. If so, then only he becomes a blessed soul. In other words, physical happiness comes with the accumulation of material goods. Mental happiness comes with knowledge, and intellectual happiness comes with wisdom. All such happiness can supersede one and other. Intellectual happiness can supersede mental, and mental happiness can supersede physical, and thus higher happiness can control lower happiness. Basically, happiness is what you are looking for. If one is looking for wisdom, wealth cannot make him happy, as Gautam Buddha was not happy with worldly pleasures and wealth. He wanted enlightenment so he could renounce all the worldly comforts. Happiness is that which one is intending or looking for. Other gains have no meaning for him. All these happiness that is intellectual, mental and physical are very mutative, and one can never be satisfied even having maximum of all of them. One can be really happy when his happiness approaches a blessed state of Sat-Chit-Ananda. Unless happiness is converted or transformed into this state of Ananda or bliss state, he will be lingering in the horizontal plane to seek some happiness or other. Blessed state is only achieved, which is the mother of happiness, by the control of Pranashakti. This is possible only by being breathless, that is by controlling the breath and ascending the life force within him, and by converting this life force into the divine light. It means Maha Shuniya state of the physical system, or void or breathlessness, can only bring a blessed state when happiness is totally transformed. In this stage no desire is left. A desireless man is near to God. Man minus desire is God. It is only possible by breath control, the state of single Shuniya, coupled with prana control, the state of second Shuniya, accompanied with sight gazing or drishti-tratak on divine light, the state of third Shuniya. By achieving the state of these three Shuniyas, that is in Maha Shuniya state, one can be in contact with cosmos, he can be with cosmic energy, and then only he is with the blessings of Cosmic Mother, and he is in complete blessed state and much happier than merely with the physical, mental, and intellectual happiness. This is the ultimate happiness. Being in this state, one is Jeevan Mukta or liberated soul. If one can get this state by the Sahaj process, then he is Mahayogi, the blessed soul, and the happiest individual in the world, just having nothing but possessing everything. It is the state of permanent happiness, and one can jump into this state as and when he wants. Being temporary, it is permanent, since it is sahaja or easily achievable for an advanced personality. In short, it can be concluded that happiness is transient and can be made permanent if transformed into the divine blessed state by the divine masters and by their grace. Happiness becomes a stateless state of an individual. On having everything he possesses nothing but his or almighty grace, which is all in all.